Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sohail Zindani and I'm very excited to bring to you the first episode of In Conversation with Sohail Zindani. Now, In Conversation with Sohail Zindani is anything but not about Sohail Zindani. It's about the friends that I really look up to, people that I refer to when I have to learn something new, when I have to rediscover myself, and when I have to reimagine the possibilities. So these are friends that I'll be in conversation with. And we all together would learn, hopefully mutually, from each other, and people can also benefit from the process. And for the first conversation, who I have with me is I would not say he is my dear friend since ever. We just met, and things connected in a way that there was a lot of frequency that met around how we look at business, how we look at life, how we look at people, and how we look at managing of people. And I think that is where the bond got stronger. We have Aminuddin with us, who is the CEO of TPL Insurance, but he has also been banker all his life, has served outside Pakistan as well, have done amazing work. But to be honest, that's not an introduction. He's a wonderful man, and I think that's what introduction is all about. He's a wonderful human being and somebody you can always look up to when you have to learn new perspectives to life. So, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this conversation.
No, it's my honor and a pleasure. Thank you, Sohail. And you're very kind in your introduction. Thank you so much for that.
Wonderful. So, I mean, as discussed, we are talking about courage. And just for listeners, see, this is the idea of this conversation is that it is not scripted. Because once you're scripted, वो फिर बात ही नहीं रहती. आप फिर वो एक, you're selling the stuff written in books, and which is, I mean, वो हम सब पढ़ सकते हैं. So the idea of getting these amazing people is to get their intuitions, get their insights. And so nothing that you'll hear today in this conversation is scripted. So, I mean, let's get going to the subject. And today's subject that we have decided to work on is courage, something that has been talked about so much on political sphere and business sphere of life. So that's my first question to you. How important do you think is courage for a leader?
So, Sohail, courage, before I answer that question, I think let's look at courage as a concept, as a word, and what it means, because you define light by the absence of darkness. You have to define courage similarly by saying what is courage that is not. And courage is largely about being able to take a decision, being able to lead where you have a position of leadership or making a decision. And that is the absence of procrastination. That's the absence of saying, I will not make a call. And that's then translating that into leadership. It's essentially about saying that when God gives you the ability, whether it's in your house or the position in your company, to have an influence on other people follow you, other people are looking up to you and getting input from you. It's the ability to have the courage or the ability to make a call. It could be wrong, and decisions don't have to be correct, but the ability to make a call and say, yes, this is what we are doing, this is how we're going to go about it, and this is how we will approach this. That for me is the essence of courage from a leadership setting or from a setting where a decision is being asked to be made by an individual.
I think something that you just mentioned, it's so powerful that when you take decision, it's not necessary कि वो हर दफा सही होने वाला है. And I think courage must accompany a lot of willingness to be vulnerable, willingness to be wrong in whatever you decide. And do you think that's one of those reasons जिसकी वजह से leaders बहुत सारी चीजें decide ही नहीं करते because they think the buck would stop at them?
It could be the case, but also I think leadership is about, and courage is about having confidence in terms of yourself, first and foremost, because everything starts from within. And then it's about the confidence of the environment that you give you. If you are a leader and you are a head of a department, and you are not sure about whether you will get the support for making a decision, or you will be criticized, or you will be not appreciated, then there's a little split second hesitation that comes in. If you have a support environment around you, which again is not a given, you have to build that. Because I think for somebody to delegate a task, or somebody to delegate an authority, is inherent trust. But with that comes the fact that when somebody has taken that trust in you and given you that position of authority, then you need to build that relationship and then take decisions based on that. So that's how I look at it.
I think that's very powerful. Which will bring me to something that you were just reflecting. Can we teach courage? What's your say on that?
It's an acquired skill, Sohail. Because again, you see, it's courage on its own is just a word. Courage is how you behave. Courage is how you think, and that's a function of the environment that you create inside your head and around you. It's not something that you can kind of hold के वो पी नहीं सकते आप कोई पूरी पुड़िया दे दे और आप कहेंगे आप ये पी लें तो आपको कल से courage आ जाएगा. It's a reciprocative environment. I mean, courage of an individual who's been doing a job for 15 years, 20 years to do the same thing again is very different. And आज आप leadership करते हैं, कल हम आपको कहें कि यार कल आप prison warden बन जाएं. Would you have the same courage to do what you do in your current role into that new role? You know, I mean, there are some skills that you can transfer, some skills that you can take with you, but the environment plays a very important role. And I think that is the responsibility of the leaders and the company and the environment that you work in, to create that relationship and give the individual the skills and the trust and the tools to build courage to make decisions. That's my view on it.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And just by the virtue of my profession, I end up working with leaders on courage building and stuff. And I mean, just reflecting upon what you just said, I think the word that I would rather use is one can always nurture courage over a period of time. And based on the kind of examples that you gave, exposure plays a significant role in your ability to exhibit courage, and so is the importance of competence, because you know, if there's a doctor who is expected to operate and lacks competence, now courage can be life threatening. You don't need courage without competence. And I think a lot of this is my heartfelt observation, particularly when I coach leaders, and these are leaders by bloody position, not you know what I mean. And when I work with them, what I realize is that because of the fact that they have been promoted or placed at a position which is way beyond their competence, teaching them courage is out of equation, because they don't even qualify for that process. And I think ये एक ऐसा elementary challenge है जिसको honestly जब हम companies के साथ काम करते हैं, they bring in trainers and coaches and consultants to think that they'll just turn around. You know, years of incompetence cannot be covered with any coaching. For example, you are making decision for the insurance industry. One has to at least have a hack of that industry. क्योंकि उसके बगैर आप अगर courageous decision ले रहे हैं, तो वो मेरे ख्याल से वो courageous decision नहीं होंगे, वो absurd decisions हो सकते हैं, वो stupid decisions हो सकते हैं, वो somehow wrapped in unnecessary confidence. Because वो अक्सर मैं कहता हूँ कि confidence is stupid, clarity is important, and I think courage के लिए clarity का combination is very important.
So I have a perspective on this, and I think that is essentially the fact that, look, nobody is born with all the knowledge in the world. And I think you gave an example of stepping into an area where you have no background, you have no experience. I think the courage from within, if you are confident enough, it says, "Mujhe nahi aata." आपका क्या ख्याल है?
Beautiful.
I think that has helped me so many times. Where the point is, I cannot be the resident expert in my work, in my travels. I've been exposed. God has been very kind. But even then, I mean, I'm not a walking, talking Encyclopedia Britannica, or for that matter, I cannot rival the information that's held in Wikipedia. That said, you have to be comfortable about yourself as an individual, not be scared, which is the opposite of courage, essentially. And just say, Sohail, I mean, you know more than me. What do you think is your view? You retain, do not, most people are very afraid of asking that and letting go because they think it transfers authority. Actually, it doesn't. It builds authority because it builds involvement, and you don't give your veto right and your authority away. But what it does is it allows you to canvass opinion and bring people to one forum, and then the decision that is made is not an edict from God, but a collective decision cajoled by the leader in the right direction. I mean, that's my view.
I think, I mean, the capability to say, I don't know, or the capability to say, what do you think? And that's absolutely my take on it. What I've realized is um, the quality that is required for a leader to say this, इसमें दो basic essentials होने चाहिए इस leader में. एक, वाकई ये leader जानता है. मैंने कभी भी बिल्कुल खोखले इंसान को आई डोंट नो कहता हुआ नहीं सुना है. एटलीस्ट मैंने नहीं सुना है, होंगे, मैंने नहीं सुना है. बिल्कुल खोखला है, उसको कुछ नहीं पता दुनिया में और वो कहे आई डोंट नो, नहीं. क्योंकि वो उसकी जो सेंस ऑफ इनसिक्योरिटी होती है, वो उसे ये करने ही नहीं देती.
बिल्कुल सही,
उसे करने ही नहीं देती.
ये बात थी.
और दूसरा ये, ऑल्दो वो बिजनेस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में मैं बात नहीं कर रहा, लेकिन ये मेरे ख्याल से इंसान के अपने ईमान की भी रिफ्लेक्शन है. ये जो सेंस ऑफ सरेंडर होता है ना, ये आपको ये सिखाता है कि आप ठीक है, आप इंटेलिजेंट हैं, लेकिन आप बहुत बड़े नहीं है और आपको सब कुछ नहीं पता. सो मैं अक्सर, कॉन्फिडेंस के ऊपर बात होती है तो मैं अक्सर कहता हूं कि आई एम गुड, दैट्स ओके, दैट्स इंपॉर्टेंट, but I am better than everybody. That's a disease. It's a cancer. And I think that leads to what you're saying. And एक बहुत important चीज हम लोग अभी, क्योंकि I had time these days and I was reading about some psychological aspects around courage, and what I discovered was so powerful. And that was about fear. एंड जैसा आपने जिस तरह से कॉन्वर्सेशन शुरू की थी कि एब्सेंस ऑफ लाइट का कॉन्टेक्स्ट जो है, या लाइट का कॉन्टेक्स्ट जो है, वो एब्सेंस ऑफ लाइट या अंधेरा उसको डिफाइन करता है. करेज के साथ बहुत ज्यादा एसोसिएट किया जाता है फेयर. सो दैट इज इफ यू आर नॉट टेकिंग करेजियस डिसीजन, दैट इज यू आर फेयरफुल. एंड हमने किताबें भी देखी हैं, किताबें लिखी गई हैं फेयरलेस लीडरशिप. मेरा एक जाविया डेवलप ये हुआ है कि नोबडी ऑन अर्थ, मार्स का मुझे नहीं पता, बट नोबडी ऑन अर्थ इज फेयरलेस. अगर हम बेसिक कुरान का मुताला करें तो उसमें भी हमें ये रिफ्लेक्शंस मिलते हैं कि प्रॉफिट सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, आयात हैं ऐसी, ऑफ कोर्स मैं कोई हाफिज तो हूं नहीं कि वो आयात नंबर, सूरत नंबर कोट करूं, लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स हम सबको मौका मिला है पढ़ने का. वी डिस्कवर that even he was scared for few things, जिसके लिए अल्लाह ताला ने assurances दी उसको. जब वही का पहला नज़ूल हुआ वो घबरा गए. सो ये कहना कि इंसान fearless होता है, ये मेरे ख्याल से इंतहाई इंसानी साइकोलॉजी के बरक्स बात है. Fear, so courage is now I have learned to define it, is courage is not absence of fear. Courage is only a response to fear. And I think that is different. That is what differentiates courageous leaders from not so courageous leaders. What's your say on that?
I think your take is very interesting. Again, I completely agree with you. There are lots of examples where one can look at individuals who have led and done phenomenal things. If you look at military leaders, if you look at world leaders, it's not that they have been cast from led and they have nothing that is they're impervious to. But yeah, I mean, they're human beings and they have managed to basically cover or transcend their fear or their inabilities to do that. And I think, let me ask you a question in return then, that as we evolve in this journey from being born as a clean slate to becoming adults, and from millennials and teenagers to adults, how do you see this transition of life, and as you acquire different responsibilities in life, from being a son to being a brother to being a father to being a grandfather, or of that matter in the corporate world, how do you see that transition from being an intern to an analyst to becoming eventually the CEO of a company? How do you see this journey transcending, and how do you see courage and fear manifesting itself, and what can one do about that? Is there a learning that you would sort of impart with us,
I think
impart to us?
that's exciting, and I think that's the best part of the conversation too. Just throw a question which I think again, perspective. मेरा perspective ये है कि anything that has been developed naturally would grow naturally. अगर तो you have grown through the process, you have taken the grit, you have gone through the journey of learning, self-discovery, understanding new perspectives to life, gaining those exposures. Growth is a beautiful thing then. Success is a wonderful thing then. But if that has happened to you accidentally, if that has happened to you by the virtue of where you were born, and people above you just resigned at the right time for you, and all of a sudden you're there. आज आप banking industry, who knows banking industry more than you? ये हमको भी मालूम है कि वो काम कर रहा है, और फिर कहीं से उसको 50,000 के ऊपर जॉब ऑफर हुई, वो वहां चला गया, और फिर 1 लाख के ऊपर जॉब ऑफर हुई, वहां चला गया. उसका कॉम्पिटेंस वहीं खड़ा है. अब with the same level of competence and higher perch to sit on, the person will choke, because the person is just not designed to take that level of stress. Because see, stress is good. It's just that, do you have the capability? Abhi coronavirus ke time pe, I just made a comment on a TV show and people were slightly upset about it. I said, see, virus is a living being and virus needs us. वायरस नहीं चाहता कि हम मर जाएं, वो हमारे अंदर रहना चाहता है, बिकॉज अगर हम मर गए तो वो वायरस मर जाएगा. तो वायरस की हयात के लिए ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम भी जिंदा रहें. क्वेश्चन ये है कि क्या हमारा इम्यून सिस्टम इतना स्ट्रांग है कि उस वायरस को बाहर कर सकता है? अगर इम्यून मेरा वीक नहीं है, वो वायरस तो क्या एक छोटा सा फ्लू का वायरस मुझे मार सकता है. वायरस इन दिस केस आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट चैलेंजेस ऑफ लाइफ. Have my immune grown? And unfortunately, without naming anyone or any company, I've seen this thing. I mean, people have grown to ranks without developing the necessary immunity. And then, these viruses, the virus of position, the virus of people saying yes to you, the virus of people being fearful of you, these are killer viruses. This kills you as a leader. So I think courage, if you've grown through the process, naturally, that has its own magic, and that evolves over a period of time. But if that has happened accidentally, it's devastating.
Very impressive, very powerful as well. I think there's a follow-on question, but I'm just cognizant of time. I mean, the question you've said is कि अब ये तो आपने describe कर दिया, but अब self-analysis कैसे की? So somebody who's watching this conversation may have a couple of questions saying, what's in it for, how do I do this?
Yes.
How do you apply this concepts and these knowledge that we've just sort of shared with each other?
I think
because there may be different people in different stages of life saying, यार मैं तो यहाँ खड़ा हूँ, मैं आगे कैसे जाऊँ?
I think courage के लिए मैं अगर, and I'll also like to take your input. मेरा ख्याल है, I mean, courage building का अगर आज हम जो बात कर रहे हैं, I think first thing जो आप ही ने कहा, I don't know or what do you think को हम अपनी जिंदगी का habitual हिस्सा बनाएं. That's, I think, for me, it's the number one priority. I've always been obsessed about it. So let's begin. Let's start asking from your children. And I tell you, I don't know, जब आप अपने बच्चों को कहते हैं ना, I don't know, बच्चे को बड़ी खुशी होती है, उसको ऐसा लगता है कि चलो मेरा बाप या मेरी माँ एटलीस्ट सच बोलना शुरू हुआ है. So I think we can start because see, I don't know बोलने से पहले आपको क्या करना पड़ता है? आपको अपना I know it all का करेज मारना पड़ता है. and to uska ego marna padta. And once you do that, you build that level of confidence that, hey, there is so much in the world that I can learn from. There's so much that I can gain from. And I think that opens up the process. There is no shortcut to exposure and competence building. उसका तो कोई shortcut हो ही नहीं सकता. Hard work का कोई shortcut नहीं है. ये हम जैसे ट्रेनर हैं जो लोगों को समझा रहे होते हैं हार्ड वर्क ना करो, स्मार्ट वर्क करो. Absolute nonsense. Hard work का कोई shortcut नहीं है. But I think as a beginner exercise, initial treadmill exercises, start practicing saying I don't know and what do you think, and particularly for things that you are expert at, and only then you gain more perspectives to life. That's my say on that.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I really think that's an awesome takeaway of this conversation. That's for me at least.
Wonderful. So now as we complete, I think conclude, there's the two, it's a kind of a tradition that I'll set up in this, in conversation with Sohail Zindani. I'll ask you two questions on which I would expect extremely brief, precise answers from your side. So are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. First thing. So, I mean, say that everything, if we take away everything that you possess, everything that you have possessed since your birth till this point in time of your life, and I tell you that, I mean, we're taking away everything, but we can let you pick three things that you want to hold on to. What those three things would be?
That's a tricky one. Life, health, mental peace.
Life, health,
mental peace.
Ah, interesting. So a follow-up question on this. How would you define success? A one-liner would do.
Success is basically meeting your heart's desires.
Oh, wow. So that it keeps growing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Changes.
I think that's beautiful.
Success for me at age 18 is very different from success for me at age current.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful. I mean, thank you for your time. I think मुझे जितना मजा आया है, I'm sure हमारे viewers को तो उससे बहुत ज़्यादा मजा आएगा, because I think that was such a fruitful conversation learning from you. And I hope that we meet, although हम मिलते तो वैसे रहेंगे, but it's in conversation, maybe if we can have one more follow-up conversation, hopefully that would be great for me, for the viewers as well, inshallah.
It would be my honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amin, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hafiz.
So thank you, listeners, for listening. Please share your feedback and also share with us how we can improve this conversation, quality of the conversation, and bring the best to you, hopefully, in the next episode. Thank you so much.